It was Friday night, and Ava sat on her couch in the dim light of her small apartment. Her dinner was cold on the table, forgotten. She scrolled through Instagram without really thinking. It was just something to do, something to fill the quiet. Then she saw it. A new post. A photo dump from Talia. 10 pictures. Sun drinks the beach. The caption said, "Tulum with my girls, palm tree sparkles." Ava's breath caught. There they were, Talia, Renee, Mira, and Jess, her 4 closest friends, laughing in swimsuits, holding cocktails, dancing barefoot in the sand. Ava blinked hard, hoping she had missed something. But no, she hadn't. They went without her. No invite. No heads up. Not even a lie. Just silence. She checked the group chat. The 5 Hive, that was their name. The last message was 3 days ago. Ava had sent a meme. No one responded. 3 days of nothing. Her hands felt numb. Her chest tightened. Slowly, she scrolled through the pictures again, her stomach turning with each one. A video played. Jess recording Mira dancing, Renee laughing in the background. Talia smiled wide into the camera. They looked so happy, so full of life, so fine without her. Ava's thumb hovered over the keyboard. She opened the group chat and typed, "Y'all okay? Haven't heard from anyone." She hit send. A small gray checkmark appeared. Then slowly, one by one, read. Just read it. Then Renee. Then Mira. Then Talia. No one replied. Ava stared at the screen, waiting, hoping. Her heart thudded in her chest. Nothing. She put her phone down. Her apartment was completely silent, except for the hum of the fridge in the kitchen. Her eyes burned, but she didn't cry right away. She just sat there, frozen. Like if she moved, it would all become more real. Her friends had left her out. On purpose. And they weren't even going to pretend they didn't. She slowly pulled a blanket around her shoulders and curled up on the couch, her phone face down on the cushion beside her. The tears came then, soft and slow. She didn't sob. Just let the sadness wash over her, heavy and sharp. Ava grew up in a quiet house with her grandmother. Her parents weren't around. Her mom left when she was little, and her dad was never part of the picture. Her grandmother was kind but strict, always reminding Ava to be polite, to stay quiet, and not cause trouble. Ava listened. She learned how to stay small, how to not ask for too much. In school, she was the calm one, the quiet one. Teachers liked her. She had a few friends, but mostly stayed on the edges, watching, waiting to be invited in. Then college came, and everything changed. She met Talia, Renee, Mira, and Jess during the first week of freshman year. It started with dorm mixers, late-night ramen, shared laughs over group projects and bad dates. They clicked fast. By the end of the semester, they were calling themselves sisters. Ava felt something she hadn't known she was missing, belonging. But even back then, she felt a difference. The other girls were louder, more outgoing. Ava was the listener, the one who gave advice, who stayed up late to comfort someone after a bad fight, who remembered birthdays and brought snacks during study sessions. She was steady, reliable, but never the center of the group. They called her the calm in the storm. It sounded sweet, but sometimes it felt like she was just background. Still, she didn't complain. She was happy just to be included. Years passed. The friendship held on through graduation, jobs, and boyfriend. Ava became a school counselor. It fit her, helping others, listening, being kind. Her students adored her. Little kids hugged her in the halls, told her their secrets. But at staff meetings, she faded into the background. People barely remembered her name. Her boyfriend, Daniel, had been her world for 5 years. They talked about moving in, even marriage. But slowly, the love slipped away. One day, he said he didn't feel the same anymore. Said he needed someone more exciting. Ava didn't even fight him on it. She just let him go. She had planned a small dinner to say goodbye, needing support. She invited the girls. None of them showed. Jess said she had work. Mira forgot. Renee didn't answer. Talia texted an hour later. Ugh, I feel so bad. Rain check. Ava sat at the restaurant alone that night, picking at cold pasta and watching couples laugh around her. Even then, she didn't get angry. She told herself they were busy, that life gets in the way, that they loved her still. But deep down, something cracked. She noticed how she was always the one reaching out, the one planning birthday gifts, sending check-ins, making sure the group stayed close. And when she stopped, just to see what would happen, nothing did. No one called. No one checked in. It was like she only mattered when she was useful. At work, she poured herself into helping her students. At home, she kept things neat and quiet. Her apartment was full of soft colors and gentle light. But it was also full of silence. No one saw how lonely she really was. Ava didn't complain. That's what she was taught, after all. Be kind. Be easy to love. Don't ask for too much. But after a while, it starts to hurt, being everyone's safety net, but never the one anyone runs to. And now the trip. The photos. The silence. It wasn't just one moment. It was 1,000 little ones that came before it. This was just the one that finally made her see it clearly. She had been shrinking herself for years, hoping someone would notice. No one ever did. Ava stared at her phone for a long time after the group chat went quiet. Her message still sat there, read but ignored. She didn't cry again. This time, she felt something different. Not sadness, something sharper. Tiredness. A quiet kind of anger. Not the kind that explodes, but the kind that builds slowly when you've been pushed aside one too many times. She opened her laptop and typed in the airline website. Tulum. Round trip. 1 seat. Same dates as their trip. She booked it without thinking too hard. Her heart beat fast the whole time, but she didn't stop. No asking for opinions. No checking in. Just her. Going. It wasn't about running into them. It wasn't even about proving anything. It was about showing up. For herself, for once. The next morning, she packed light. A few dresses, a swimsuit she never had the confidence to wear before, her journal. As she boarded the plane, she took a quick photo through the window. The curve of the wing against a soft blue sky. She posted it with the caption, "Sometimes you have to show up for yourself." That was it. By the time the plane took off, the photo had over 300 likes. Old college friends commented, some messaged her privately. "Everything okay? I felt this in my soul. Tell me the story." Ava turned her phone on airplane mode and leaned back in her seat. The man next to her nodded politely as she sat down. He looked about her age, maybe a little older. Quiet. Tall. A book in his lap. They didn't speak for the first hour. Just exchanged a soft hi and returned to their own thoughts. Eventually, the flight attendant came around with drinks. She asked for ginger ale. He did too. They both smiled a little at the coincidence. After a long pause, Ava finally spoke. "Have you ever felt like you were part of something, but really you were just background?" The man looked at her. Not confused, not dismissive. Just calm. "Yeah," he said. "Once. And when it ended, I realized I wasn't part of it the way I thought I was." Ava blinked. That's exactly it. She didn't plan to talk more. But the words started coming. Slow at first, then faster. Not everything, but enough. She told him about her friends. The silence. The photo. The way it felt to be left out of your own life. He didn't interrupt. Didn't give advice. Just listened. "My name's Jalen," he said when she finally paused. "Ava," she replied. They smiled. Nothing about the moment was dramatic. It was simple, quiet, but something shifted in her. For the first time in a long time, she felt like someone saw her, not for what she gave, but for who she was. The sun was just beginning to set when Ava walked into a quiet beachside restaurant. She had spent the day reading by the pool, trying to keep her thoughts from drifting back to the girls. For a while it had worked. The warm air, the soft sound of waves, it had helped her feel calm. Almost okay. She asked for a table near the back, by the open windows. A waiter led her through the main room, past groups laughing and clinking glasses. As she turned the corner, her steps stopped. There they were. Talia, Renee, Mira, Jess, all sitting at a round table. Drinks in hand, plates half-eaten. Dressed up, sun-kissed, laughing. Ava froze. Jess was the first to notice. Her smile dropped. Then Talia looked up, her eyes going wide. Mira and Renee turned next. One by one, the laughter vanished. The table went silent. Ava didn't move. For a second, she thought about walking away, pretending she hadn't seen them. But something inside her, tired, heavy, and ready, pushed her forward. She walked up to their table. "Hey," she said quietly. Her voice didn't shake. "Guess we picked the same city." No one spoke right away. Finally, Renee sat up straighter and gave a tight smile. It was just a smaller trip. Nothing personal. Ava looked at her. "Smaller? So small you couldn't say a word to me about it." Talia glanced down at her drink. Jess rolled her eyes. Mira spoke next. Her voice was soft, but her words sharp. "Ava, your energy lately, it's been heavy. Like everything we do makes you sad or uncomfortable. We didn't want the trip to feel like that." Ava blinked. "You mean you didn't want me around because I wasn't fun enough?" Renee sighed. "That's not what we're saying." Jess, always the blunt one, leaned forward. "No, it kind of is. You never really fit. You just tagged along. You were always there, but it was like you were watching the group, not in it." The words hit her like a slap. Ava felt the heat rise to her face. Her hands started to shake, but she kept her voice even. "I gave everything to this friendship. I've been there for each of you, through breakups, bad jobs, family drama. I was there. And now you're saying you just tolerated me." No one answered. Ava nodded slowly. "Got it." She turned and walked out. She made it back to the hotel before the tears came. The kind of crying that made it hard to breathe. She stumbled into the bathroom, shut the door, and sank to the floor. She pulled her knees to her chest and let it all out. The pain, the shame, the years of feeling like not enough. A knock on the door made her flinch. "Ava." It was Jalen's voice. Gentle. She couldn't answer. She didn't want anyone to see her like this. But the door opened anyway. He stepped in carefully and sat across from her on the cool tile floor. He didn't ask questions. He just waited until her breathing slowed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You shouldn't see me like this." "I think this is the realest I've ever seen anyone," he said quietly. She looked up, eyes red. He leaned back against the wall. "My brother and I used to run a small business together. Coffee shop. We built it from scratch. I thought we were a team. But the second things got hard, he bailed. Sold his half behind my back. Took the money and left." Ava stared at him. "I asked him why," Jalen said, voice tight. "He said I was too careful, too slow. That he didn't see us making it unless he did it alone." He gave a small, sad smile. "Sometimes the people closest to you see you as a weight, not a partner. That kind of betrayal, it cuts deep." Ava wiped her face. "I thought I mattered to them." "You did," Jalen said. "But not in the way you thought. And that's not your fault." They sat in silence for a long time. The bathroom light was soft, and outside, the ocean whispered against the shore. Ava spoke again. "I don't know how to come back from this." Jalen looked at her. "You don't come back. You move forward." She nodded slowly. That night, they talked until nearly sunrise. About families, about loss, about who they thought they'd become and who they actually were. No pretending, no sugarcoating, just real human talk. And in that quiet space between pain and peace, Ava began to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time, seen. Not as a helper, not as a background friend, just as herself. It didn't fix everything, but it was a start. 2 days after the restaurant, Ava was lying on a beach chair, the sound of waves soft in her ear. She hadn't spoken to the girls since. She didn't plan to. The pain was still there, but it had changed. It didn't crush her anymore. It just sat quietly, like a bruise that would take time to fade. Her phone buzzed. A message from Mira. That surprised her. She hadn't blocked any of them yet. She wasn't sure why. Maybe part of her still hoped for something kind. An apology, even. She opened the message. No words. Just a screenshot. It showed a group chat. The name of the chat was No Ava's. Her heart dropped. She read through the messages. Jokes. Plans. Hotel links. Restaurant booking. All with little emojis and inside jokes. Her name came up a few times. Not kindly. One message from Jess stood out. She'll probably book a last-minute seat to sit beside her sadness, faced with tears of joy. Ava stared at it. The world around her went quiet. She hadn't cried when they left her out. Not even after the restaurant. But this cut deeper than anything else. Not just forgotten. Not just ignored. Mocked. It wasn't that they didn't think about her. They did. They just didn't care if it hurt. She sat up slowly. Her hands were shaking again, but this time something stronger was there too. A steady flame. She opened her notes app. At first, she didn't know what she wanted to say. But the words came, just like they had on the plane. Honest. Raw. Hers. She copied the words into an Instagram post. Paired it with a quiet photo of her sitting alone on the beach, her back to the camera. And then she posted it. You don't have to be loud to be worthy. You don't have to be popular to be enough. Sometimes people will love what you do for them, but never really love you. Sometimes they will laugh behind your back and still smile to your face. Sometimes you'll give your heart to people who only ever plan to borrow it. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're too much or not enough. It means you gave love freely. You cared deeply. And that is not something to be ashamed of. This week, I sat beside myself. I faced the silence, the pain, the truth, and I didn't disappear. I grew. If you've ever felt like the background friend, the afterthought, the easy one to leave behind, this is for you. You are not alone, and you are not invisible. She hit share. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then the likes started coming in. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Comments flooded in. I felt this with my whole heart. Thank you for saying what so many of us couldn't. I'm crying reading this. I thought I was the only one. Messages too. Women from all over, sharing their own stories of being left out, talked about, made small. By the end of the night, the post had over 40,000 likes. She sat on the edge of her hotel bed, phone in hand, heart full and heavy all at once. She looked up and saw Jalen standing in the doorway. You okay? He asked. Ava nodded. Better than I've been in a long time. He didn't say much, just gave her that small, proud smile she was starting to recognize. The kind that said, I see you. And this time she believed it. The night before she left Mexico, Ava sat on her balcony with a soft breeze in her hair and her phone in her hand. For a long time, she just stared at the screen. Then, one by one, she started unfollowing. Jess. Blocked. Renee. Blocked. Talia. Mira. Blocked. The group chat. Deleted. It didn't feel loud or dramatic. It felt calm, like closing a book that no longer needed to be read. When she got home to New York, the silence in her apartment felt different. Not empty, open. She took a deep breath and looked around. It was time to make this space feel like hers again. She bought a new couch, soft gray with wide cushions, the kind she could sink into after a long day. She hung up a painting she had bought from a street artist in Mexico. Bright blues and oranges. Something bold. She even lit candles just for herself. Then she made the call. Her voice trembled a little, but she said the words clearly. I'd like to schedule a therapy session. Week by week, she started peeling back layers. She talked about her grandmother, about always being the easy one, about how she had tied her worth to being useful. Her therapist listened without judgment, asked questions that stayed in Ava's mind long after the session ended. One night, she sat at her desk and opened her laptop. She created a simple blog, Seats Beside Myself. Her first post was short. Sometimes healing looks like sitting in the empty chair beside you and finally realizing you're enough, even when it's just you sitting there. She posted it. She didn't expect much. But slowly, people started finding it. A few comments, a few shares, then more. Women messaged her, thanking her. Strangers wrote in, telling her their stories. Some said her words helped them block their own friend groups. Others just said, me too. She posted once a week. Honest, steady thoughts about boundaries, heartbreak, and finding yourself after being pushed aside. It wasn't viral. It was real. Weeks later, she got a text from Jalen. In the city for work. Want to grab coffee? She said yes. They met in a small cafe near her apartment. When she walked in, he was already there, reading a book. He looked up and smiled the same quiet smile he had given her on the plane. They didn't hug. They didn't rush into anything. They talked about their work, their growth, their fears. It wasn't a love story. Not yet. Maybe not ever. It was something more honest. Two people who had seen each other at their lowest, still showing up. And that, Ava thought, was enough. It was a quiet Sunday morning when Ava stepped into the little coffee shop on the air smelled like cinnamon and fresh bread. Soft music played in the background. She ordered a chai latte and walked to her favorite seat by the window, the one with the sunlight spilling across the table. She didn't pull out her phone. She didn't bring a book. She just sat there, hands wrapped around the warm mug, watching the world move outside. People passed by, some in a hurry, some walking slow. It felt peaceful to just be still. Across the cafe, a little girl sat with her mother. She looked over at Ava, then tugged at her mom's sleeve. Why is she smiling by herself? The girl asked in a small voice. The mother looked over at Ava and smiled softly. She must be happy being her, she said. Ava heard it. She didn't turn around. She just let the words settle in her chest. Happy being her. She took a slow sip of her drink and let her eyes close for a moment. There was no noise in her head, no weight in her chest. For the first time in a long time, she felt full. Not because someone filled her up, but because she had found that feeling all on her own. She didn't need a group chat to belong. She belonged to herself now. And that was more than enough. She opened her eyes and looked out the window, the softest smile on her face. The world outside kept moving. But inside, Ava had found her stillness. And she stayed there in her own company, fully at peace. Hey besties, thanks so much for watching till the end. If Ava's story hit you in the feels, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment. We love hearing your thoughts. And of course, subscribe for more juicy, drama-packed stories about love, friendship, and finding yourself. You won't want to miss what's coming next. See you in the next one. Bye.